First quarter is hanging in the shed, ready to be processed. We got 24 days of aging. I just like to show you what I do now is I just take small strips and I cut off this outer skin. And you got to take your time and just slowly get it off for the least amount of waste. When you hang the moose, you're going to get this outer skin on it, and you just slowly peel it off, nice and slow. And you can see it's just like taking a light skin off the outside. Yeah, you know what? There's a little bit of waste because of it, but in my opinion, hanging the moose for anything over 14 days, it tenderizes the moose, and it actually helps take a little bit of that browsiness or that bit of wild flavor out of it, and it intensifies the good flavors of the moose because you probably lost about 10% of the moisture out of the moose. So this is going to take a long time. I'm going to go ahead and just keep at it. Slowly peel all this away. As you can see, we just go slow. Take them big long runs off, make it easier to strip. And you can see here, paper thin, hardly anything coming off, but just enough to get down to that nice meat. And you can see the color change. I'll flash to a picture of when we first got the moose to now, and you can see how much the color has changed. That first front quarter is all cleaned up. Now, I like to just break this apart, and you can see here, there's a bit of movement. I don't know if you can see it, but right in here, you can see, and I mean, I got to search for this every time I cut up a moose because I don't do very many. But it's in here, there's a joint in here. So I want to get to this joint and cut this bottom piece apart. So to do that, I'm going to cut in across here, go right in, all the way around, and I think I'm right on the joint. So we'll find out here shortly how I did. So here's the joint. You can feel it in there. Give it a little pop. There's that joint. Get all that cut off around. Get that on. Get that on the workbench. There's the first piece we're going to process. That's the front shoulder blade. And we'll go ahead and we'll get back over here at the other piece that's on here. Oh, we got that front shoulder blade, and I'm just going to go ahead and skim some of this. I like to use a filleting knife for this. It works very well for me. Use whatever tools work best for you, of course. And all we'll do is just take that silver skin sinew off. Just go slow. I mean, listen, I'm not a butcher. I'm just a fellow that enjoys a bit of hunting and a bit of processed meat. So my techniques are certainly not by the book, but these are the techniques I've learned over the years, and they're the ones that work best for me. And I love being at this. This is one of my favorite things to do is process your own moose. So the front shoulder. So now there's a bone here, and I do know that the flat iron is hiding in here. So if I cut this all the way along that bone, it's going to peel away nicely, as you'll see. We just slowly get in there all the way down along that bone in this shoulder blade, and it'll all just peel off. So then we just take our time, run your knife along the bone, all the way along that bone. Run into another one here, cut that. Just let your knife feel its way through. This is all I'm doing. Just try and figure out where the knife wants to go to get that beautiful piece of meat, the flat iron, off. Just keep going. Here we are. Almost all the way off now. We'll take that straight down, and we'll go and we'll trim that up after. I like to try and get all the major pieces off. There's that bone, right down this side of the bone. For me, all I try and do is I try and take as big of muscle groups off together as I can, and then I'll deal with them once I got them off. That way I can just separate it, follow the meat, follow the lines of the meat, and separate the meat out. There's another beautiful piece. Clean up the other side. So for this side, just take that filleting knife, cut it away, scrape right along that bone, get all this beautiful meat off, nice and slow, nice and easy. Take your time. This is all probably going to turn into grind or sausage. Roll it off, cut it off. There you have most of the meat off of that shoulder plate. I will tidy this up a little more. It's a beautiful looking piece of meat. All of this meat on here, I will definitely just come back with my knife right down to the bone. And then this will just go into one of these black bins that I use for either ground mousse or sausage. Not much left on there. A little bit here on this bone. I'll just go ahead and just shave that off. You'll probably recognize this. This is the shoulder. This is the piece a lot of people use to rake the branches when they're trying to bring in a big bull. You can put this out, tie it down. I let the gray jays and the crows go at it. They clean it up pretty good. You can boil it down if you want, but for the most part, the birds will take care of a lot of that on there. There's a little more meat I'll clean up, but for now, we've done pretty well. Those three pieces, we'll go ahead and get in here, and we'll just take, you can see the meat separates itself. So I'm not really sure what piece exactly I'm working with right here, but to me it's a fairly clean piece without a lot of sinew in it, I think. So what you could do is trim that up for ground or for stew meat. And in here, this is, so clean this up. We got a little bit of pieces left over from the dry, from the aging process. We'll get rid of those. Flip that over, have a look. Everything looks really nice. Just go ahead and clean up some of this. Clean up a bit of this gel. So, in here, there's a flat iron steak. And I only just learned about this from Google and YouTube and all that, of course. So, there's a piece of sinew runs down the middle that I need to cut along, and then I'll end up with two. And I think it starts here and ends up here, or starts here and ends up here. So I need to get in, and I don't know the best way, but I can see this here. This is an extra piece. I'll just trim that off. Get this trimmed, get that sinew off. Just like you're filleting a fish, same idea, same concept. Put those pieces in to be chopped up. So I'm going to get in here and see if I can make my way down this line of sinew. So there it is. It's on top. So I'll just angle my knife up just a little bit and come all the way through, and we'll see how we did. So there's the sinew right there. This here is a beautiful flat iron steak. Oh, there's a lot of sinew in this, so I'm actually going to cut this out. For my grind and my sausage, I just like to trim out as much of this sinew as possible. Not because you have to, just because that's the way I like to do it. So we have one flat iron there. Maybe needs a little bit of cleaning on this side. And maybe it's not all flat iron. Maybe only some of it is. But there's one. And then for this one, we'll just do that same process we would use for filleting a fish, and we'll get down to that sinew nice and slow, and then just take your time, run your knife along that sinew, nice and gentle, and you can feel it. So there we go. You can see that came off nicely. A little bit left here for trimming. We'll do the same thing on this side. Flip it over. So this is all great meat. You could turn this into fast fry. Both sides. We've done well. We've done very well there. Little bit of trimming here. Leave all that sinew behind. I think I'm going to call that fairly trimmed. I'm kind of happy with that. And this is going to be a bit of fast fry, and that is definitely not going to be ground. I'm going to put that in here as a good piece. I'm going to roll this up. That's another good piece. Put that in the tray. Take a look at that. I think I can cook that just like that. I'll roll that up as well. That's all going to be fast fry. No need to cut that up any smaller. You can see here, a little bit of sinew. I just come in and trim it as best I can. If there's any sinew in it, I put it in a pan that's going to be for sausage. If there's no sinew or barely any sinew, that's the stuff I'm going to grind up and turn into my ground mousse. And we'll show you that process as we move along here. Get right into these next pieces. Like we can see here, a bit of dry skin from that aging process. We'll just go ahead and take that off nice and slowly. Nice and gentle. Bit of good meat on top there still. Save that. Take a bit of this silver skin, sinew. Take all that off. And then we'll find out what this piece will be good for. For me, it's just about trimming, cleaning, get as much sinew, as much dried out parts you can get off of it, and just keep trimming. You don't need to know exactly what you're at to be at this. All you got to do is get at it and give it a try. So again, you can see there's a bit of sinew. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there it is right in here. So we'll just keep going, nice and gentle. So this is a beautiful, clean piece of meat right here. Barely any sinew on it. So what I would do with this, I cut it in long strips. This is how I cut all my material. All the stuff I'm grinding, if I can get away with it, I cut it as long as I can. You just feed that right into the grinder, and it'll make it all the way through. Ground mousse is one of my favorite. Well, I shouldn't say that. Stir fry, fast fry, and ground are my two favorite ways to eat mousse, I would say. So all you want to do is just keep breaking it down, keep trying to chunk it up, and figure out how you can get the most out of it. So this looks like a bit of a separation here. I'll just cut right through, get down. There's a bone in here, so I want to get to the bone if I can. Try and get this bone out. So here's, you can just see it separating by itself. I barely have to do anything. Roll it over, get on this side, get that start coming off the bone. Fill it down either side of that bone. Don't worry about how choppy it is. None of that matters. All that matters is that you're in the shed cutting the moose. Keep going. Let the meat hang down and just cut along the bone. It'll all fall off all the way around here. Shave off any of that dry skin that's left. Just get in and start cutting these pieces off. Cut them at the separations. Cut them where everything separates, where the meat separates. That's normally where a lot of the sinew is going to be. Not all of it, but a lot of it. So this to me looks like a great piece to be stewing meat. So I'll show you how I cut stewing meat. All that's for trimming now. So to cut my stewing meat, come across like this, 1 inch at a time. Then just roll it over, cut it this way. There's some chunks. This one here, cut it in half. That one, cut it in half. There's some beautiful stewing meat, ready for your slow cooker and your favorite moose stew. From here, it's just a continuation of the same process. Pull the big pieces of meat apart, cut the sinew out, cut it up for ground or for sausage, and if you find a piece that looks big enough that it can be a roast and there isn't a pile of sinew in it, go ahead, put roast on the package, throw it in the slow cooker down the road. It's going to be delicious. Still moose processing videos to come, and remember, moose, elk, deer, caribou, it's all very close to the same. You can use any of these techniques for all those different animals. Be adventurous. Don't be afraid to process your own moose. Just dig in and go at it. It's still going to taste delicious. The cuts of meat might not look perfect, but hey, you did it yourself. Stay tuned and follow along for more hunting and cooking videos coming real soon.